Well, of course, that's how we kickstart our big stories. We're going to be talking about that situation after the spillage of the Weija Dam and the aftermath of same. People stranded, some starving, like you saw in the video, some of them cooking, using their livestock because some of them are dying, just so members of the community can get something to eat. Others have nowhere to sleep. NADMO has been lethargic as always in its approach. And I say this not happily, but there are people who are stranded. We saw this coming. But let me bring in my colleague, Isaac Kofi Ajay, to walk us through what exactly the situation is, what the images tell us in terms of the spillage from the dam and what real impact is happening. Isaac, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Ben.
Great. I can see the map that you have there. Show us exactly what is happening.
Right, so on the touch screen, I want us to look at one area that has been hard hit by this spillage, which is the Tetegu area. So this is our map on the touch screen. So if we click on Tetegu, you can actually see the map taking us to this area. Now, once you are in this area, Ben, look at what we are seeing. This is the Densu River, the course of the river, which is from the Weija Dam. And this river actually is the place that has been flooded. So if you look at the course of the river, you can actually see that people have built settlements around, houses around this area. And then the course of the river must be free so that the river or the dam, when spilled, can have an easy access to the sea. We also show that the bit where it joins the sea. But this map that we have here shows you the Tetegu area and then the course of the Densu River, which is from, the Weija Dam. And so you can see settlements around the river, and then this is not something good. So these are areas that will be affected by the current spillage that, we saw from the Weija Dam. So all these houses along the course of the river are not supposed to be there. But I also want to take you to the Weija Dam itself. So this is the dam. Actually, this is the dam. And then this dam, when it is spilled, moves from its tributary to join the sea at a delta point. So let me show you the delta point. Okay, so this is, you see the Densu Delta Plain. So this is the Delta Plain, Ben. And this is an area that people are not supposed to settle here. But what do you see? You can see houses.
There's a concentration of houses
Absolutely.
Right there.
So this is the area that when the dam is spilled, the water is supposed to move from Weija and settle within this area. So you can see that this is the delta zone. This is where the river, the Densu River, joins the sea or the ocean. But where people are not supposed to settle, you can actually see that the belt houses here and all these areas, as and when the water levels get higher, will be affected. So the course of the river is taking, over the entire area, and then along the line we will see oxbow lakes being created because of this floods, and all those who are within this area are likely to be affected by the current, spillage we see from the Weija Dam. But why are we having this situation? I also want us to do some charts and see why we are having this situation. So the Weija Dam, its normal, spillage level is supposed to be around 46.5 feet. But currently the dam is around 49.5 feet, almost 50 feet. And this is the reason why we are currently seeing the level of spillage that we are seeing. So the maximum operation level for the dam is supposed to be around 48, and we are having around 50. The difference between the normal and the current level is about 3 feet. And usually when it happens, the Ghana Water Company or the managers of the dam will open just 2 spill gates. But this time around, because of the high levels of the water, they have to now open 4 spill gates. So if you look at an area like Oglogo and other places, they are not supposed to be affected. But because of the high levels of the water, these areas have been affected because now we are not dealing with 2 spill gates, but dealing with 4 spill gates.
In fact, is it the Daily Graphic also reports this morning that there were 5 spill gates?
Absolutely. So it means an additional one has been opened. But this, floods that we are seeing and spillages It's not just the Greater Accra region. So the recent, downpours have also affected other places. So if you look at the Jambuse flooding in the upper west region, what happened? The maximum operating level for the dam in Jambuse is around 13 feet. But this time around, it's around 13.8 feet. So it means spillage would have to, what is happening now? So the high levels...
So Isaac, I'll let you go on with that. It's crucial, though, that we take a pause here and engage Patrick Kumo, the Municipal Chief Executive for Wejagbawe. He's on a time leash, so Ike, just hold for me. Mr. Kumo, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
It's a pleasure having you. Now, this is a serious situation. We're discussing the spillage and the resultant flooding and how your community has been affected. As of today, what is the state of those in your community as MCE in the Wejagbawe area?
Yeah, good morning, and let me say a very good morning to your cherished listeners. We're having some positive news this very morning, and I must say our efforts are paying fruit.
Mr. Kumo, if you could speak up a little for me, I'd be grateful.
Yes, I said a very good morning to your cherished listeners. And let me say we're having some positives this very morning. Our efforts for the past 3 days are paying fruit. Let me say this very morning, the waters and the communities are receding. The information that we had from Ghana Water yesterday that the levels that are coming from the eastern regions are dropping, and hence this very morning the gates are going to be reduced so that we don't have too much pressure in the community. It's really happening this morning. The estuaries that we opened some 2 days ago are also very active, and that is taking the majority of the waters from the community. So this very morning, I must say we have some good news for our people. Let me also use the opportunity to thank the security agencies that came in to support the NADMO, the 48th Regiment, the Marine Police from Takrady and Tema, and all who came in to support. We are so much grateful. We also have some few things that needs to be done. That is in relation to the people that have been displaced. We believe that the promise that was given by NADMO director yesterday, this very morning, myself and my colleague from Gasal, we are on our way to the NADMO headquarters to take some of the delivery of some relief items so that those that have been hit severely can be supported in a way.
It's interesting that you speak about relief items. I was just about to get to that. Many of those in the community have said that they haven't got any relief items from NADMO, not mattresses, nothing. Some of them have not slept. Some of their livestock have been affected. Some have had to kill the livestock and, forcibly cook them for community members. I mean, how long is it going to take? When can we say that people in your catchment area will get as many relief items as they need?
Yeah, my brother, you see, when there are disasters strike, the first thing is to search and rescue, which the team has successfully completed. Now, those that have been affected, and that is what I'm saying this very morning, some relief items are coming in. We're still taking audits of people that have been affected by the NADMO. So latest by midday, we should have items being delivered to persons that have been affected. But, government cannot do it all. We're still calling on people who are in good positions to help. All donations are welcome at the assembly so that with NADMO, we can still go out there to support our people. This is a very trying moment for the people of Wejagbawe and part of Gasal, and we'll need everybody on board to be able to help our people who have been displaced as a result of this disaster.
So you say, just to confirm, latest by midday, relief items will be available, just to confirm?
Yes, please. And we know because of the flood levels in the community, ECG had to cut power to some areas so that we avert casualties. Let me also assure them that so far as the waters are receding in the community, ECG will be going out this very morning to assess their transformers and their equipment so that where we need to restore power, that one will also be done before the close of the day.
What sort of items, what sort of relief items are we looking at?
Basically, I will need to get there to really see to it. But mostly, as you know, the immediate items that are needed are water, food, mattresses, and cups, and all that people would need at this very trying moment. But I need to get to the office to see what items are going to be made available. But from my past experiences with disaster management, these are the immediate items that are mostly deployed to people. But then I need to get to the office to really see what is available for us today.
Some say that leadership, like the MCs, DCs, and even NADMO have failed. The reason is they say you were aware, like the Ghana Water Company Limited has said, that there was going to be a spillage. Why wait for the flooding to happen before you act? You knew this would happen.
My dear brother, indeed, yes, of course, anytime Ghana Water want to throw water into the community, we are a major stakeholder. We are notified. And whatever measures we need to put in place before that exercise is done was put in place. Information were sent to the various communities. And as humans as we are, if you even look at the situation that happened in the U.S., Florida recently, announcements were made about the hurricane that people were still staying in their homes until the unfortunate hit them. And that is what really happened here.
If you make the comparison to the Florida situation, we're talking hurricanes and, it's an entirely different ballgame, Mr.
But what I'm saying is about the information dissemination and how people react to such information. We've had annual spillage of water into the community. We do the announcement. But people were thinking the gravity of which we've been doing in the past years was going to be the same. Because in the past years, when it happens, we manage the situation that a lot more people are not affected. You understand that? By this time, the rains and the volumes that came from the eastern region was not something that were anticipated. For that matter, it is expected to see what you are seeing today. Because if we really want to protect the integrity of the dam, then of course, we need to save the dam by spilling the water. This is where we are today. And we don't need to start having a blame game. It's a disaster that has struck, and of course, we need to all come together to think of our best and salvage the situation.
We've been told that there's a likelihood of a further spillage as far as the Weija Dam is concerned, which could mean more flooding. How are you getting ready for that?
Yes, my brother, the team and everybody is still on standby. We're still monitoring the situation. If we're still having more rain in the eastern region, then of course we'll still be having the dam still. But then as I speak to you, all the men are still on standby, monitoring the situation and how soon we can easily maneuver around this whole thing. So let me assure my people that everybody keep calm, and we'll go through this peacefully.
My final question to you, what can we expect then from you, from the NADMO, moving forward for those in the Weija area?
Yes, it's all about recommendations that need to be sent to government ASAP. This operation will be high capital intensive, and I think we need to take the bull by the horn. We need to indeed go in for the dredging of the dam. If my assessments are right, this dam was constructed some 6 decades, that about 60 years ago. And since then, I've not heard of any major dredging of the Weija Dam. And you know very well that within this period, you have the dam being silted heavily. If, let's say, for instance, when it was constructed, the depth then was about, say, 100 feet. 60 years, you should be having it around maybe 40 feet. That tells you that the volume with which the dam could contain has really reduced drastically. For that matter, any little pressure of water that comes in will have to force Ghana Water to fill. And that is it. And then when you come to the downstream, which flows down into the sea, it also needs heavy dredging so that we can have some embankment created so that the water, anytime it's filled, wouldn't move into the community. Then, of course, the structures that are dotted along the water bank, of course, most of them have been marked for demolition. We started operation, and the state media came in with a bash. This time, I believe we all see what is happening and why we need to come together to support the assembly to be able to clear the structures off these waterways, and then we all can have some peace at the end of the day.
Mr. Kumo, before I let go of you, I know I said that was my final bit to you, but an interesting bit. So the developments along the stretch obviously will be affected once there is a spillage. We also know that the Ghana Water Company Limited is blaming you for not, letting the bylaws bite and allowing more people to put up structures, in the communities along the path where the water body passes. How do you react to that finally? And what measures are you putting in place to prevent further developments?
Yeah, my dear brother, I have the opportunity to serve my people just 6 years now. Those structures that are adopted there have been there for 3-4 decades. But as a leader, you inherit assets and liabilities. And upon assumption of office, what I need to do as making sure structures that need to be moved, we have started long ago and will still continue to do. But at some point, you still have same people coming, media coming to ask you why you need to displace people. This is why I'm calling that this is the time we all need the support of everyone, including the media. When such actions are taken, we all support for us to get to the conclusion of it. So that at the end of the day, we don't come pointing fingers. Are you with me, my brother? So I believe moving forward, everybody has seen the necessity for which assemblies or government will have to take certain structures off. And then we can all be on the same page and then move forward with it.
Mr. Akakpo, we're grateful for your time. Thank you for joining the conversation and we wish you the very best. That is Patrick Kumar, Municipal Chief Executive, Weija. And some important things he made mention of. The waters are receding. He's made mention of the fact that by noon today, there should be some relief items available to those in the Weija community. I also asked him about a further spillage, which is possible as the rains hit the eastern region and what could happen. And he says he, together with his team and, of course, NADMO officials, are standing by so that in the event of that, they would be on hand. Finally, about constructions going on in that community. Well, they say they are doing something. Hopefully, it averts similar catastrophes in the future. But let's come back into the studio. Isaac Kofi J is still here with us. I don't know, quite some interesting developments that we have here. But let's get to the map. Let's get back to what exactly the situation is in these communities.
All right, so we spoke about the Ashalaja, Tetegu. Now let's go to Ashalaja and see what is happening in this area as well. So the map will take us there. And this is our interactive map taking us to Ashalaja. And this is the area. So, Ben, you can actually see that these areas are dry areas. But still, you can see the Densu River meandering, a serpentine movement around this area. So you can actually see that these are dry areas. So for the water to move from this part to these areas should tell you the depth, of the spillage or
it would mean the water body would have to overflow its banks all the way to get into the community.
So when we saw the course of the river in Tetegu, it was different from this. The course was bigger than this one that we are seeing. This is not really, any form of movement. But if you look at the magnitude of the spillage, it's actually increasing the volume of this, river around this area, and it's actually overflowing its banks to these dry areas, and all these areas were affected by the flood. We were talking about, other areas across the countries affected by this flood before the interruption. So we're talking about the Jambusi flooding, and then the fact that the Ghana Water Company had to halt production in this area because of the flooding in this area as well. There's also the Nawuni Dalum in the northern region. What happened there is that two transformers belonging to the Ghana Water Company feeding the treatment plant got damaged and power to the plant was curtailed. What means is that the people in these areas will not get access to potable water because of the flooding. There's also the Achim Odan incident. What happened there is that flooding of the pump house at the intake point, and when that happened, they had to shut down the Achim Odan treatment plant, and water supply to areas such as Achim Odan, Akwetia, Kede, and surrounding communities had to be curtailed as well. There is the Denswano in the eastern region, which also got flooded. And the same thing happened there, the Ghana Water Company having issues with their treatment plants and other things. So that's the situation currently, Ben, across the country, and then in Tetegu, and then areas affected by this Weija spillage.
I don't know what your take is, just briefly before you go, Isaac, as there is talk of a further spillage depending on the rains that hits the country from the eastern region. Looking at all that we're talking about, what do you think the impact would be?
Well, the MC spoke about the water receding, but I feel that people who are along the course of the river, the settlements along the course of the river, certainly is affecting the river or the spillage having its free flow into the sea. So if the water is receding, then we should have the picture being painted out in the delta zone. But unfortunately, we do not have scenes from the delta zone to see the amount of water in this zone. But if the water is receding, that means they have to get easy access to the delta zone in order to join the sea at that point.
Isaac Koforidua, always refreshing having you on the panel. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. And of course, he was walking us through all that is happening in those areas affected by the Weija Dam spillage. But some schools in the new Juaben North municipality of the eastern region have been closed down, while more than 2,000 people have been displaced following last weekend's downpour. We'll bring you some details on that as we engage Comfort Asante, Municipal Chief Executive, New Juaben North. Madam Asante, a very good morning to you.
Morning, young man. How are you?
Well, we're well. Not so well on the back of knowing what is happening in other parts of the country.
It's too early in the morning. By the middle of the day, everything will be okay. Don't worry.
Great. So paint a picture for us. What is the current situation there on the back of the latest flooding incident?
At the moment, we've been putting measures in place. Like I've been saying, nobody can stop or prevent natural disaster, but we try to manage it. As at now, New Juaben North, which is made up of about 5 sub-towns, the whole flooding happened in almost all the towns apart from one town, Jumapo. Oyoko had their share, Asokoro Zongo had their share, Akwadum place is where we had the most serious situation because the Densu River flows in the town, through the town. And we have some other rivers who join the Densu to flow downstream. And because of the load of water in the Densu, when it rained on the Saturday, Sunday, it was heavy. The small rivers couldn't enter the Densu, so they were pushed upwards, and that might have resulted in the flood in the whole town. And like I've said, Oyoko, as at now, we have a machine there dredging the river. Also flooded. And Akwadum, as at now, the water is receding. On Sunday, vehicle could pass from Suhum through Akwadum to Koforidua. Any vehicle pass through Akwadum from Koforidua to Suhum. But as at Monday morning, cars started passing, and as at now, the road is safe and open for vehicular movement. And we thought, water is life, because most of the wells we have in Akwadum have been contaminated. We needed to get our people potable water. So yesterday, 3 days ago, we installed a 5,000-liter polytank and fill it with potable water. We also have boreholes, and we have put on power so that they can pump water from underground to the head tank for the people to use. And we are getting ready to see whether we can get food items for our people, especially those in Akwadum. And that's at now, most of them initially were putting up in some mosque, classrooms, and a community center there. But as at yesterday, those whose houses were flooded because the water has receded, most of them were moving back to their homes, and we have few of them left in the mosque and the classrooms. And again, because most of the children were coming from the villages, surrounding villages, to school in Akwadum, because of the flooding, we asked the children not to come because we didn't know what might have happened to them on their way to school. But as we look at the situation, in a moment from today, maybe if things are normalizing, a bit normalized, we'll see what we can do with the Education Directorate. All this, I didn't do them in isolation. We had series of meetings, MISEC, and then public emergency health committee, because health hazard follows some of these things. So as at now, my health team, they are at a radio station, GBC, educating the people on how to live safe, and we are going to put chlorine into most of the wells, pump the waters out, and then put chlorine to at least make the water a bit hygienic for consumption. So these are some of the measures. And Akwadum zone going far, we had one casualty. The person was buried on Monday. We were there yesterday. We had a cleanup in the whole community, both the Zoom Lion, assembly member, and the people in the area. And as at now, we are moving around to see how we can get the people a bit resettled.
Madam Asante, you speak of one casualty. Was this person a casualty on the back of the flooding?
Yes. Water entered his room. I think he was asleep. So when he got up, the water just, swept him away. And because it was when everybody was, in his or her room, he couldn't get anybody to save him, and he died. And he, being a Muslim, he was buried the following day.
When exactly was this?
Me.
When exactly did this happen?
That was Sunday night. Yes.
So tell me, in terms of the schools, how many exactly have been affected? How many have had to shut down on the back of the...
we have 4 schools in Akwadum. Apart from Akwadum, all the other towns, they are schooling. But because of the villages and the dense flooding in Akwadum, we thought it wasn't safe for the children to be allowed to come to school. So the water recedes. So maybe from today going. So Akwadum, 4 schools. We have 4 schools, MA, we have Catholic school, we have Islamic school, and then we have a Methodist. So these 4 schools, as of today, they are not in school. And we are meeting this morning to see what we will do about the situation, especially with the 3rd year students who are preparing for their big exams, to see whether we can find a way out for them. Yeah.
You spoke about water sources being contaminated and the fact that you had got a 5,000 gallon capacity tank and all of that. Boreholes activated them. Is this to say that all members of the community have access to potable water then?
Yes, they have, because we have community water supply system in the town. So most of the people are linked onto that one. But we were looking at the open wells and boreholes and those who don't have that facility in their homes. So we put the tank in the central point in the town. We have a borehole at the outskirts. We have one linking to the market and to the clinic. So we have activated all these for them to at least have potable water. Boreholes, the water is pumped deep down from the earth. So it's more potable than the wells. And the wells which have been contaminated, to where we are putting chlorine to get them, we are pumping them out and putting chlorine to make sure that the water that comes out is potable for them. Yeah.
Let's talk about those who have been displaced. How are they being dealt with? Have they received any relief items? Have they been relocated, as most of them can't inhabit their houses?
Fortunately, most of the affected people, they joined their family people who weren't affected. Those who didn't have families who were not affected were asked to use the classrooms and the mosque. But like I said, the waters, the flood waters that entered their homes, they are receiving. Some have receded, so some of them have gone back to their homes. But the few left, we are going to see the situation today. If it's okay, by the close of the week, most of them would have gone back. We are praying the rain doesn't come in again, so that people will be safe back in their homes. So this morning,
so that is a hope. That is a hope. But in the interim, in terms, so is there no plan for relief for them?
We are. Because when flooding, nobody expects flooding to come. It comes suddenly. So we need to do the first.
Madam Asante, so I guess the question I am asking is, are there any relief items in the pipeline for these communities? And which relief items are we?
On Sunday, when the situation was very worse and high, NADMO, the regional NADMO director and his team were there. Municipal NADMO people were there. So they know the situation. We wrote to them and they are getting ready. Assembly is preparing to see whether we can get them food item. I mentioned it initially. So maybe by the close of today, we would have gotten something for them and hoping that NADMO will also come to top up because we were thinking of blankets, mosquito nets, and there's some food items for them. So by the close of the day, what the assembly might have gotten will go in and give them to them. And yesterday, I had a press conference and I made an appeal to the general public to come to our way. So hopefully, should we get that from the assembly, maybe NADMO, municipal level, regional level. We even called the NADMO national CEO to come to our aid. So hopefully by the close of the week, if all this coming, our people will get more of the relief. But assembly, we are trying to get them something before the close of today. Yeah, but water, we thought water first. So now we are sure of potable water for our people, especially those at Akodum, to get water. And then we full up with the remaining ones.
You did talk about the fact that hopefully there will not be more rain, so you would not end up in this situation. It's been said that maybe there may be further spillage in case there's rain, but let's just hope that the rains subside and that the dam doesn't have to be spilled one more time. But thank you very much, Comfort, for joining the conversation. Next, we'll be engaging NADMO on what exactly the action has been on the ground in the Weija area. Amoyate is Director for Inspectorate. A very good morning to you, Amo.
Morning. Good morning.
Thank you for joining the conversation. What is the latest as far as NADMO and its activities are concerned? In most of these areas, we see, just a bit, we see that you've not hit the ground running yet in terms of relief items. What is happening?
Breaking. I can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now, Mr.
Yeah, I think it's better.
All right. I am saying that around Weija, so all those communities, NADMO is said to have hinted that it would be in action, but we've not seen that action on the ground yet. People don't have relief items. What is going on?
So we are always talking about relief. Anyway, good morning to your listeners. And then we were expecting that by this morning, the flood levels would have receded drastically, and then life will begin to come to normal. Relief is given on the basis of our assessment, and then we target the most vulnerable. Relief administration is not like because there's been rain, everybody in the area, everybody in the locality has, because we don't have all the resources. So what we do is that we prioritize the most vulnerable. We target the most vulnerable. People who without aid cannot help themselves. They are our priority. It's not about everybody is in the area, there's been rainfall, so everybody is getting relief.
Mr. Yati, I doubt that anybody would think that everybody in the catchment area, even someone not affected, should get aid. But, you hint at something.
Everybody is talking about relief items. We do an assessment, and then on the basis of the assessment that we do, we identify the most vulnerable, and then we do the needful.
All right. So let's do this. A lot of people, Mr. Yate, let's have a conversation. A lot of people have been shut out of their homes. Some can't access their homes. Some haven't been able to sleep because they don't even have mattresses. Some don't have food to eat. Per your assessment, about how many people fall in this vulnerable category that you're going to help?
The people that we are going to help?
Yes. About how many are we looking at? These vulnerable people.
The figures are still coming in, but then we started with wet ration. Plus, people needed food. People have been locked out. They needed food. So we started already with that in some of the communities. And I'm saying that we are targeting the most vulnerable. And then we know, because we are going around, we know the people, we see them. Most of the people that we even evacuated are no longer in the communities. Because once we evacuate them, family and friends are ready to take them in, and then they are taken to the nearest lorry stations where they bought vehicles out. So that is what we know. But the good thing is that the flood levels have receded drastically, and life must begin to get back to normal. Once we have done some assessment, the needful will be done.
What exactly are you giving out to these vulnerable people?
What we give out is on the basis of our assessment. So we cannot say we are giving out this. No, we will give to who needs what, is what we will do.
How many people, just an approximate, have you impacted? Have you directly engaged, given something out to as of now?
I would say more than 500 people in terms of the food, wet ration that was distributed. Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of the food, what exactly have you been giving out? Rice, oil, what?
Food, already cooked food, rice, kenke, it went out to people because the situation was that people were not going to be able to cook, so they needed to eat. So wet ration went out.
All right, so already cooked food, not raw food, no.
Yeah, already cooked food.
All right, but there are a lot of more people who are complaining that they've not got anything. Are you going to spread your wings and try and assess these people?
So sometimes when we speak to you, we pick up a few things and then we follow up on them. We pick up a few things from the media and then we follow up on them. So like you are saying, a lot of our men are already on the ground. Yeah. So the assessment is ongoing until the whole situation is over. Because things change. Yes. Keep changing by the minute, by the day. So the assessment is ongoing, and we will continue to do the needful to ensure that everybody is at peace.
I have a few more questions for you very briefly. How many NADMO staff, how many NADMO officials are on the ground on this particular matter? Can you tell me?
It's not only NADMO. The whole of Ghana South Municipal Assembly NADMO is on the ground. Greater Bawe NADMO is on the ground. Regional teams are on the ground. Teams from the headquarters are on the ground. We have the Marine Police, 48 engineers.
So I get it. It's all tied to NADMO. I'm just asking about the numbers, just to have an appreciation of the numbers on the ground.
Pardon me?
I'm just asking about the number, all put together, about how many?
Oh, it will be difficult for me to give you that figure right now. I'm actually on my way to the office as I speak to you now. I'm in traffic. It will be very difficult for me to give you exact figures now.
So my final bit to you, what can we expect today, in the course of today? We spoke to some municipal chief executives. Some said by noon there will be deliveries from NADMO. Others said in the course of the day. What can we expect today for the affected communities from NADMO?
Yeah, what we should expect is that, like I said from the beginning, the good thing is that the water levels are receding, so life will getting back to normal in the next few hours. But then we have assessed the situation. We have identified some very vulnerable people, and then we are going to do the needful. And I can say that for the course of the day, some relief will go to those who really need them.
My final bit to you, it said that if there should be more rain, there would be another spillage. If the water levels increase again at the Weija Dam, there will be another spillage. Are you prepared for that? If in the coming days there's another spillage with more flooding, will NADMO be ready?
This is an alert for everybody, and then we are talking to the meteorological agency who have been updating us on the weather, and we don't, from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, it doesn't look like this is the end of the rain. There will be more rain, so we are ready, and it's also an alert to the communities that get flooded. Yeah.
Mr. Yate, we're grateful you took the time to engage us this morning, and we wish you the best as you seek to help our brothers and sisters. Have a good day, sir. That is Amo Yate, Director for Inspectorate at NADMO. So some interesting discussions we've been having on the back of this conversation, accusations being traded, but NADMO saying it is doing the best it can under the circumstances. One major point to contemplate is the fact that, well, they're staying on that beat. They're going to be on high alert, like Mr. Yati just mentioned. They are engaging the Ghana Meteorological Agency as more rain is expected. And likely with the rain would come more spillage of the Weija Dam, and that could lead to more flooding. We can only hope and pray that disaster doesn't strike one more time. Well, that's been our first big story, this conversation that we brought you. But up next, we're going to be talking about Galamsey and what Mr. President has been saying in recent times.